Good evening and welcome to another episode 7 of our Building Women Empowered, Meet to Motivate. Today's topic of discussion is sensitive and a taboo topic, shrouded in shame and stigma. A bit of a background before I even start the introductions and provide more insight into what topic we're going to talk about. So as BWE panelists, we often brainstorm potential topics of interest, and this particular article was brought up, which was about, everybody knows about this topic, which is the Durga Puja Pandal in Kolkata, which was commended for its innovative approach. You remember this, Aarti. I think we were talking about this in our group, and we were talking about it, and how they broke the taboos of discussing menstruation and menstrual hygiene. Yes, let's talk about the period. Hope you all noticed that I used the word period. I said the word.
Keyword.
And usually, if you have noticed, every one of us would have been saying, I personally have done this. Hey, my monthly visitor is here, or I'm on the rag. And unknowingly, when somebody, asks you, hey, why you're on the down low. So, hey, this is Anjana, a cybersecurity engineering leader. And when I'm not working, I'm either walking down the runway or cooking up a storm and throwing parties for my girlfriend. Sorry, guys, I'm laughing because I'm looking at Renu. She's going back and forth on my screen.
Sorry, you're the techie. I'm coming. I'm just going live on Facebook. I'm just setting it up. I was having a problem because I'm on a new computer. We are live. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, and today I'm your host and panelist for this episode of Meet to Motivate the Period Taboo. So I will sharing my personal experience when we have run through all the introductions. So over to you, Anjina.
Hi there, I'm Anjina, and I am in healthcare management, and I've been doing that for the last 15 to 20 years. I am local in San Ramon, and I'm happy to be on this panel. I'm looking forward to talking about this, and I think it's a little close to heart because I have an 11-year-old daughter who's going to be soon, not quite there yet, but going through this, and I cannot believe some of the things that I've been reading. So I'm excited to discuss that with you guys.
I'm going to go reverse in card that I have. Gunjan, go ahead, please. Welcome, Gunjan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gunjan Dillon. I am in IT by profession. That pays my bills. However, I am poet by nature. That feeds my soul. And I don't know, I guess all poets are activists by nature, maybe, perhaps, that all things taboo or all things going against the grain kind of brings some passion over. And so it brings about something to say on the platter. So I'm also a writer. And this is the first time that I'm actually going to be part of discussion with fellow women. I have done it professionally, however, not in the same stream. So it's a first for me. And I'm very excited to join you guys.
Welcome. Over to you, Aarti. I know we have had a long conversation about this before.
Thanks, Anjana. And my name's Aarti Kaushal Chopra, and I'm delighted to be here with the next set of taboo topics. I'm an educational consultant by profession, and I've now started doing wellness and positive cultural exchange event planning, because I think we need to start changing narratives about many taboo subjects. So I love being here, and I'm excited to talk about yet another taboo topic. Thank you, ladies.
Aviba, over to you.
Hi, ladies. Nice to be here. My name is Viba. I am a finance major, but I have been a stay-at-home mom for the past, let's say, 15 years. Like Gunjan, I write poetry. I'm very passionate about poetry. It's my happy place, if you like. So I do enjoy writing. I have a 15-year-old daughter. So yeah, we've kind of been through this. She responded really well, much better than I thought she would. So I'm very, very excited to discuss something that shouldn't be at the point where it is right now. So yeah, I'm happy to be talking about. Usually we would say periods, but I'm going to say it loud. We're going to talk about period.
The period. Yay. Hey, Renu, thanks for allowing me to host this and being also part of our panelists. So over to you.
No, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you're hosting it, and it takes all the stress of my back, and I can actually sit in and listen and join and share my views. And for those who don't know me, I'm Renu. I'm the founder of Genius Kids, which is what I do full time. And when I'm not doing that, I'm doing Building Women Empowered. I'm very passionate about issues that affect women. Personally gone through a lot of stuff myself, growing up and also in this country. And I really feel that if we can just make a difference, even in the life of one woman, even if one woman is listening today and we make a change in her mind, or even if a gentleman is listening to this and they can change their thought process, then we've been successful. So that's my goal. This is my retirement plan, to do things for women, as hopefully Genius Kids will continue to pay my bills if I don't get into trouble. Yeah, but I'm so glad that Anjana, that you are going to be hosting this. So thank you so much. Everybody's in the great hands. And we're going to talk about periods. And I love the word menstruation.
Yeah, that's right.
That word. You know, that's one word with your rhyming punctuation and all the other eight. Teachers forget this one. It's like, no, this should be the first one.
Yep. And I think we discussed
keyword.
So we had discussed that we will do this as a multi-part series on this topic. So there are so many things connected with this topic, but this topic is going to, well, this episode is just going to focus on why this period is a taboo, or why people don't want to discuss anything about periods. And being empowered women, that's exactly what we're going to do. So coming on the personal front, personally, I've not encountered any of these distancing, like, when you have your period, you have to, be away from everybody. You can't do any of the regular things that you can do and whatnot. So, personally, I've never run into that. But during my growing up years, I've been living in a joint family. I have personally observed and seen a lot of my aunts and they would be parked outside the house in a veranda. They would have a charpai, they would have a plate, they would have a tumbler, and they would have a blanket, and they would have to use the restroom outside the door. And many a times, I mean, I was just growing up. I was like, 5 or up to my 2nd or 3rd grade, I was practically raised in their house. And I would try and go and play with my cousins and my aunt, and I would be shooed away. I'm like, go away, don't touch her. And I'm like, I never understood it. Why? And even as I was growing up and when I got the period, my family was not so much focused on it. We were all, mingling, and we never had the separation of you have your own bedroom and you're not coming out of your bedroom. And if anybody watched The Great Indian Kitchen, you would have observed there is this exact, situation where she's locked up in her room and she cannot step out of her house and the food is just tossed into her room. And I never understood at that time why this was done. But as I've been reading more and more, we'll talk about this in several other iterations of the conversations that we are going to have here. But why was this ever a taboo? Or there are some beliefs that some of this was religion related. There are some beliefs that this is just onset of patriarchy. That's why all of this started. So what are your thoughts, panelists? Like, I'll again start off with my cards from right to the left. Gunjan, I'll start with you. What are your experience and thoughts on this? Why was this a taboo, or is a taboo?
All right. So I may bring a little different perspective on this from my growing up. Period, menstruation, it was not a taboo when in my family. Perhaps my mom was pretty progressive about it. I remember first time my friend of mine, she got her period at 10 years of age and I was 9. She was a year older, and her mom brought her to my mom to say, can you please explain, all this girl stuff to her? So my mom brought me as well there, as well as my 3-year-old brother sitting right with us, and she explained periods to us. To the point my brother is going around with stay-free napkins, running around. This is for Gunjan. This is for Gunjan. Like, okay, when she gets it. So I was like, my embarrassment was already taken care of at home. I never really grew up with that kind of stuff. to the point my dad, like my mom would have period and my dad would be like, I'll use the Punjabi word, "Rehn de, no period ho rahe ne." So it's like, okay. My grandfather, my nanaji would come home, and if there is anything, girls or my mommy ji, like, you know, she was the daughter-in-law in that house, she would be sitting there without a chunni because she would get like hot flashes or something, dupatta without a dupatta. And even if somebody from outside would come and be like, oh, didn't she need a dupatta? And my grandfather would be like, no, 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 nahi, 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 eda meena chal raha hai, period nahi de. And it was so open growing up to the point
Wow.
when I started period, I started early too, and I had very heavy period. So I couldn't really wear stay-free napkins that we got. And my parents had to do something to the point where my dad was going around figuring out what kind of cotton to get, what kind of cloth to get, how to staple it together so he can make a homemade pad for his daughter. And they both went to school to inform that if there is any leakage, they don't want any bullying around it from outside because they have raised me very differently. So growing up, I was actually very privileged in this aspect that my family was quite open. All the women, even to the extent the pind waliyan women, they were like, they would not say period, but they would be like, "Mean na jal raha hai," or something like that. And they would adjust accordingly. They would like be sitting there, be okay with the hot flashes and all. And I think that had a very good effect to the fact that my brother today helps out with it. In his own dating experience, he's very tender. He can understand it right away. He doesn't go around teasing, oh, it's your PMSing or something like that. My husband goes out, gets pads for me. He does all that stuff. So in that sense, I think I've been privileged enough in that sense. I've not had to experience those taboos. So that's my personal look at that.
Oh, I think we can all relate to many of these things. Aarti, over to you.
Wow, Gunjan, I'm jealous. I think we're all
Yeah.
jealous. I think I share every other woman's sentiments here that we wish we had your experience growing up like this. For me, I didn't have the experience of getting my period in India. I had it here, and I had just moved here from India. I was like, I got it, my period, I think when I was 12, closer to 13, and I just come here from India when I was 11. The one thing I do remember though is, I mean, my mom was a doctor, so there was a little bit more, you know, openness about it in the family. Plus, you know, we were a woman dominant household, so that helped. Well, I do distinctly remember though, I mean, I think every woman, every girl has probably gone through this period, pubescent rite of passage is the leakage, the public leakage. So I distinctly remember it was in 8th grade. I think it was like in my social studies class. And, you know, junior high, middle school is by far the most traumatizing schooling we all go through with all raging hormones. But sure enough, I distinctly remember what I was wearing. I think I was sitting in the back of my classroom. Of course, classrooms are co-ed, boys and girls, all the junior high boys watching. I get up. I'm wearing a long mint green skirt and a white, like a collar shirt with white and mint colored leaves or flowers on it. Sure enough, I had to wear white and light mint green that day. Nice red patch on the back when I get up. And I'd forget, it might have been a boy who actually brought it to my attention, you know? Oh God, that's like absolute devastating. So of course, rushed to the bathroom. And I was a really awkward, shy, introverted middle schooler. So nothing like what I am today. So I think that probably left a mark on my personality, that I remained introverted through my high school years because of this early period trauma experience. Now I'm just like, oh, you know, now it's all, you know, out in the open. But that was my personal experience. But there's something happened recently with another, like a community, like a dancer in our community here. She was dancing at an event that I was emceeing at earlier this year. She was a very well-known classical dancer. And sure enough, she was wearing like a light blue outfit, traditional Indian outfit while she was dancing. And there was a nice dark patch right there. And we're all kind of the whole audience of like 250 people is looking, not looking at her dance, looking down there. So then later on, all the women were like, I think you're on your periods. I think you're on your periods. But imagine, just having either a public junior high classroom period leakage experience or a public dancing period leakage experience. But it has definitely spurned period discussions in the community because it just happened this year. So here we are, very appropriate topic.
I have one experience like that too, where my skirt was also marked in red. So I immediately went in and pinned it up and went back to my class. Thankfully, I noticed it. Over to you, Vibha.
Yeah, so like Aarti, I also grew up outside India. So I was raised in Zambia and Botswana in Southern Africa. So we were actually educated in fifth grade. They had that whole sex ed talk with our class, so boys, girls, everybody. So I knew what periods were, and I think I also started around 12. But for some reason, the first time it happened, I was at home and I just hugged my mom and was just crying. And she was like, "Why are you crying? You know about this." I said, "I don't know. I don't want to grow up." Something along those lines. I mean, it was really silly. Hindsight is 2020. But in our household, I think it was more like somewhere in the middle where, my brother and my dad knew, my mom knew, but it was not made a big deal of. The only time when I challenged what was going on was when I think we were going to the mandir and my parents or my mom, I told my mom, I was like, I'm on my period, and she was like, well then Vibha, you can't go. I was like, why can't I go? I said, isn't God the one who made us? I said, so isme kya hai? So I was always very upfront about what I thought and about my opinions, and then they never questioned it after that. And I go wherever I want, whenever I want, irrespective of whether or not I'm on my period. And I do the same thing with my daughter. So she's 15. The nice thing is that she handled it really well in terms of, she actually had her period quite early. She was like 10 and a half. But again, it's just me, her, and dad. So it's just the three of us. So there's something very empowering about, there being more women in the house or in the home, women, girls, than men. So I mean, it was like somewhere in the middle, but at the same time, the logical thing would be, why aren't we allowed to go to the temple, or why aren't we allowed to go to a place of prayer? When God is the one who, if he's the creator, if you believe in him, then this is not something to be ashamed of. This is something we should all be proud of. So yeah, that's a bit of my experience with the whole thing.
Yeah, we'll talk about, what those religious connotations are and so on as we go through. Renu, what's your experience? You're on mute, Renu. Renu, you're on.
Listening to all of you. So I started my period when I was 9, actually, and my father was a doctor, and he was the only one at home with the what we call the ayah, or the caretaker, and he immediately told her to explain to her, and that was in Swahili. So I heard about this in Swahili, not even in English or Punjabi. And then, of course, my mom panicked. She was in India at the time, and she panicked, and she says, "Oh my God, take her to this one's house and she'll explain." And my dad is like, "No, she's got it, So I started very young. Oh, I had many experiences of the leakage because I was so young at 9. I used to sometimes forget to put the sanitary towel or go to school, and then the teacher would send us home, and they used to make a big deal. It was like a big drama. That was one thing. Oh my God, isko ladki ko kya ho gaya, usko ghar bhej do. But I was the kind of kid that couldn't be bothered, such a tomboy. But where I got really impacted was here in this country. I'll never forget. It was at a Diwali party in 1990, no, 1991, just before my divorce started. And I was at a Diwali party and here in Danville, and a whole bunch of people in the room and stuff. And then they had this big room that was a mandir. And then they wanted to do puja. And I have no idea why this man had to announce it. It wasn't even the women that announced it. And then the man announced it and say, I don't know, my Hindi is not the greatest, but in Hindi he said, if any woman is on the, monthly fay, you cannot go into the mandir. So I kept quiet, but of course my ex-husband, like an idiot, had to say, she is. And they said I couldn't go, and I objected. And I was like, why not? What's wrong with me? And they're like, and that's where I heard the word, right now, aapki body bahut gandi hai. And I could not believe what I had heard. I left that party. I was done. I left that party. And let me tell you, I've never gone back to that house or those people again. Because to me, that was the most appalling, disgusting thing to say to a woman. And Vibha, like you say, God created us. And as I mentioned earlier on Facebook, without our ovaries menstruating and producing these eggs, nobody would be here. Hello, wake up, everybody. We wouldn't be here. So why are we a taboo? Why are these eggs that we don't fertilize every month, that we pop out, going to the uterus lining, if you really scientifically want to look at it? And, why? That's life. There's life in that egg. So what is wrong with everybody and their mentality? So, yeah. And I hope those people who were at the Diwali party listening to this, because I know some of them in our group, it was sad. It was a sad occasion to say I was dirty and I had to leave, not even be allowed. It was so sad. And then to watch the men, make funny faces and stuff like that and kind of stay away from me. It was disgusting and appalling. That was my experience right here in this country.
One of the things that I wanted to bring up in this forum also is talk about, these festivities and as, girls menstruate.
Yeah.
Back home, I've also experienced that, I've also come from suburban villages during my growing up years. They specifically did coming of age parties, like, she would be set up on a chair, decorated, everybody putting haldi and whatnot, and celebrating her. It was like announcing her womanhood to the world and saying that she has gotten her period now. So you guys lay off, kind of a aspect. Yeah. But nowadays, people don't want to announce to the world that somebody has a period or not. But why did that change? I mean, I knew that practice was happening before. Even today, some families do, but way ahead of time. I mean, hit 11 years, they just do this langavoni or the half saris functions and whatnot. But they haven't even, gotten their period yet. But what about those kind of festivities and things? Should people still be doing those kind of things and announcing to the world or not announcing to the world? I mean, let's just this conversation be fluid.
Yeah.
Anybody that wants to chime in?
I think it depends on the family tradition.
I think it really depends on her say. Angina's not given her a personal experience yet.
I thought she did.
Thank you.
Apologies. I thought I started with her.
Yeah, that's okay. It was with Gunjan. I was so intrigued by Gunjan's story. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Everybody should be like that, from a household like that. But I was born and raised in Scotland. So, we had the whole sex education talk really pretty early on. And I have to say, within the group, I probably am the one that had it the latest. I was actually 16 when I had my period. So it was a different kind of, a different kind of experience, because I could see everybody around me, friends and, family, their daughters, all getting it. And I'm thinking, okay, there's nothing happening with me. I guess it's not coming or however. So I guess I had quite a bit of practice in the very strange kind of a way. So I didn't experience any of the accidental problems, because I kind of went through them with either friends or family. And so I was like, oops, okay, I have to remember this. I have to remember this. So I had a lot of time to do that. So that was great. That was fantastic. But one of the things you did say, Anjana, about the half sari function, is funny you had mentioned that. I was actually invited to one during the summer and I wasn't able to go because I was out of the country at the time. And I was curious and I'm thinking, what is a half sari what is that function? So I looked it up and I thought, wow, that's amazing. I thought that was actually really nice. It was about, a family that is from, I think it's the southern part of India. I think they
Yep.
do that. And they were celebrating that. And I thought that was great. And then somebody else said to me, oh, how embarrassing. I mean, that's just announcing to everybody that she's got her period. I mean, and I'm thinking, okay, well, and I thought, okay, what does that mean? How? Because they were actually saying it from the perspective of the young girl. How would she feel that everybody is actually over there and they're doing this function of this half sari function, knowing to the fact the reason why she's got her period? So, and it was a big party and everything. So I think it's like an individual thing, especially when it comes to girls that have just gone into this. And I've been very open with my daughter. I mean, she's had that talk. And in our family, like my mom, I mean, I was so late on. I mean, my mom was fine with it. My dad was always working. He had his own business, so he was never around anyway. But my brother and I, we're very close. He had no problem with it. So luckily, it wasn't such a big taboo. But reading through some of the stuff and some of the things that I've seen, I'm actually really shocked to see how people are treated and how women are treated and how this whole unclean thing, I just don't understand that. My mom has never stopped me from going to the Mandir when I was growing up because I'm on my period or anything like that. She had never stopped me. So it's just recently that I've actually read about this and heard about it, and people experience it because they're unclean. And I'm not understanding that. And Reno, I completely agree with you in the sense of this is the reason why, there is human life because of us women going through our periods, our cycles. This is normal. So yeah, so this is a very interesting topic, and I've got some really good information to share that I'm really shocked about.
Hey, good. You were saying something, Arti, before we forgot about Anjina.
Oh
This
yeah, no,
topic about the half sari celebrations and celebrity.
it's totally, first of all, there's so many different regional customs, and then there are family-based customs. So it just feels like every time you come across a new person who has a different experience being raised related to periods, you kind of like take a step back and be like, oh, how come I didn't learn about this? How come I don't know about this? And I didn't have any of those restrictions either growing up, going to a mandir when I had my period. And maybe it was because I came from already an alternative family setting, if you will, from a divorced family. Mom was the breadwinner as a doctor, so it was very biological in my family. It was just a biological thing you did. And none of them under experience that. It's more regional. So I think we just need, this is so necessary because it impacts every female on planet Earth. And because females are the chosen one to bear life, like Renu said. So there's so many other issues that also stem from periods and menstrual cycles and this coming of age and whether there are celebrations or not. Every culture around the world has some, coming of age celebration for girls in particular, boys as well. But it's just, I really appreciate that we're having these finally open, blunt conversations about periods and, monthly blood in our panties, if I may say so myself. I said blood in our underwear. I said it. It's not dirty. It's a cleansing process. So let's keep this going. This is going to get better.
So I have
Gunjan, go ahead.
I was just going to add something here. So we were talking about ceremonies and festivals. Yes, growing up, partially I grew up here and then partially in America, I grew up they do quinceañeras and then Jewish folks do mitwa. And it's the similar thing. And if I kind of did a little bit of research, we used to have it in Hindu culture, similar to quinceañera and mitwa. It was rituspada. So rituspada was for females who got their period, and then ritusnan was for females who are getting their periods continuously, who are also sexually active, who are married, who have kids. Because the idea was, and it's throughout Judaism, I've seen it through, like I've read through Spanish cultures and Caucasian cultures, and then coming into our Hindu culture, it was initially a practice for cleansing of the body, as in like, and biologically it's true, your endometrium line builds up and then it's shedding this line because the baby didn't arrive. And slowly there were taboos that arrived around it, in the sense that, people started saying, and in Roman culture and in Judaism as well, that period time is really disgusting. It's dirty. Even if you have sex during this time, you are engaging in a devil's activity. And I kind of related it to medical science. If a woman does get pregnant during period time, there is a chance of pregnancy. However, it's a false pregnancy. It can be ectopic pregnancy, eclampsia, and it's painful. So maybe there were certain things that women's health contributed towards, which was so misunderstood, that so many taboos started arriving, despite every culture having a celebratory festival around it. So just looking through the history, I felt that was quite an evolutionary point we took a turn at.
Yeah, I think the religion actually puts fear. I mean, that's what they say, right? Religion is supposed to put fear in people and make people, choose the right path and not the wrong path. And I guess one of the ways to avoid that pregnancy, which is going to end up in a bad way for the woman, is say, oh, actually having sex during that time is bad.
Right.
Vibha, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was also thinking of the quinceañeras and all that stuff, and about, what the Jewish people do as well. From what I've heard, in our culture, I've heard that the reason why women were, sent to kind of like an outhouse, or they were separated from the rest of the household, is because in the old days, the women did everything around the house. So the cooking, the cleaning, the taking care of the kids, everything. And as we all know, it's not a very pleasant time for us in terms of how we feel physically, even mentally. Hormones, some people get really crazy during their period. So what I heard was that the reason why, they were kept separate was, or, they were sleeping somewhere else or whatever, was actually so that they could get rest.
Yep.
Otherwise, these poor ladies, they are slogging all day, every day. And then when they're having their period too, and, there's pain, there's discomfort. I heard that the reason it started was to give them a break. But then, like we're all discussing, it evolved into something ugly, as if, whatever is happening with all of us is, some sort of ghastly thing from the devil, which is not what it is. I mean, life is coming from us. So,
and the women were doing it to the women itself. It's not even men doing it to the women.
That's the sad part. Even now, I mean, we openly talk. My daughter just started doing basketball. Last week, she was on her period. I went and I told the coach, I was like, go easy on her. She's on her period. And what is there to hide in it? It's a natural thing.
Right.
Every girl, every woman gets it. It's like, yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed of. And the beauty is that even when I visit my parents in Africa, and let's say my daughter is on her period, or I'm on my period, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that because I don't feel like, because I'm on my period. And it's not a big deal. I talk to my brother, I talk to my dad, I talk to my mom. If my friends are there, I talk to them, because it's a natural process that every female goes through. What is there to be ashamed of? We don't say period like this anymore. We say loud and clear, I'm on my period. Women have to own it. So own it. I even tell my daughter that if something is going on, or you're at school and you need to go and, do whatever you need to do. But, there's so much good stuff now. They have those period panties that girls and women can use. You don't have to worry much about leaks. So, it's come a long way, but in a lot of ways, it's also been very regressive, which is kind of sad. So that's the irony of it all.
Off subject, how many of you used to wear two chaddis when you put your sanitary
Oh,
top?
I did.
Oh, yeah.
So it wouldn't leak.
I did.
Oh
So
my God.
And
many
black
I know.
jagdis, black pants, black
Yeah,
everything.
black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I
just
never
White is
bothered
the
with
enemy.
Yeah.
Yes.
What
I
are your
think-
thoughts, Renu?
You know, it's I didn't do, of course, as much research as Gunjan, but growing up in Kenya, it was treated the same thing. A lot of the tribal women, the African women, are isolated, and they're not even allowed to stay in the house or whatever. In actual fact, in Africa, a lot of the women are not allowed to wash their genitals when they're on their period, because they say that you're going to spread disease and the devil to other people, and that is why so many women would die, because they would not wash their genitals. So a lot of taboo in so many different things. If you look at all different villages, different tribes, everybody had their own. And it's just sad, because I think it's a stigma that has been created by community. And what Gunjan said makes a lot of sense, you know, with the version of why that started, and even what Vibha is saying. But my argument is, in this, we're all educated people now. Okay, that was happening 30, 40, 50, 100 years ago. Why are we doing this stupidity now? Why I still see women, I mean, I can't go to the mandir, you know, Diwali, I have my period. Look, what nonsense. I still hear them now, and I'm shocked. You know?
So I have a different perspective to it, and you may, I mean, it's just like how Vibha was talking about. Hey, there were some reasoning behind some of these actions, and we just misinterpreted it. So one of the things, one of the Ayurvedic practitioner, and I think we had talked about it in our group as well. We'll bring her on in one of our future episodes where we talk about menstruation, menstruation hygiene, how you take care of yourself. She actually explained that you have a lot of mixed energy, like you're very weak because your body is going through a turmoil from head to toe because of your hormones. So you need the rest. And temple has a different energy. And that is why you were not allowed to go to a temple or to pray, because in different cultures and different, like, you know, when you're a Muslim, you're bending down, you're standing up, and you're doing a lot of actions, which puts a toll on your body. And they said, don't do this because you don't have to. But it was misinterpreted by men, saying that you're impure, so ergo, you're not allowed to do this. It's not that you're dirty. It's not that you're impure. It's just that your body needs the rest. So go take that rest. Don't have to worry about this.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of the Chinese whispers. You know, it started as something else. And then as it's gone and talked about, everybody's added on their own things, which a lot of them are not even correct. They're false. You know, it's not a reality. It completely makes sense that, yes, women do need rest. Yes, they should be taken care of at that time. And yes, they shouldn't be doing their normal household things, all for the right reasons, to give them rest, not to say that they're impure or dirty and they shouldn't be taking part of any of these things. I think I was reading, like, in Hinduism many years ago, and it might still be happening in remote villages and everything. There's a term that's used, and I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Chopadi. It says it's a period taboo practiced among Hindu communities in Nepal and India, in which menstruating women and girls are required to live outside of their home in a shack. And in more extreme cases, they're barred from interacting with anyone in the community and disallowed from eating certain foods. So it blows me away that in all these years, there's so much misinformation, and I think there needs to be some sort of a collaboration or something. And I know there are groups and things that are happening to get the correct information out, but I still don't think there's enough that's being done about it, because our generations to come, our females to come, they have that stigma. Even, you know, I know my daughter has that stigma a little bit, and I'm like, I always say to her, don't worry about it. It's nothing. It's normal. So I think we all have to work harder.
I wouldn't mind being banned to an Airbnb by Santa Cruz facing the ocean for 2 weeks.
I don't mind that too. I'll join you, Renu.
Yeah, don't put me in a
That's the
shack.
10 days are in our
Let's all of us get banned to such things. So we can party.
Seriously.
Trip
Yeah,
to
let's make it a
Vegas.
girls' trip.
It comes
No,
down
we
to
should
taking
start
back
an
the narrative, right?
No,
It
we
all
should
comes
start
down
an Airbnb for menstruating women only by the beach.
to love it.
I think that's a great new
that's a
business
great
idea.
I love that. Well,
That's
this
a
goes
money
back
maker.
to
The men
taking
for
back
women.
This goes back to taking back our narrative, right? Women and girls and females have to take back these historical narratives where guess what? Cross culture across the globe, no matter in the dark ages, middle ages, industrial revolution, 21st century, we're still women and females get the brunt. Whether it was religion that targeted women and girls, whether it was any religion that shamed, sex, and then it was easiest to always blame the females. Just like here in the United States in the 1600s, they had the Salem witch trials, and they put, big scarlet letter A, red. Is it any surprise that it was a scarlet red color letter A for adultery on this woman, and during the whole Salem witch trials. So women and girls have always taken the brunt, and they've always also been made the victims. They've been victimized the most. And, boys and men have just been utterly confused about it all because of all mixed social conditioning, cultural conditioning, family conditioning, religious conditioning. So education is so necessary, and facts. And Anjana, I'm really excited if we're able to bring that, lady on self-care, hygiene for women, because that is how we take back our narrative from a female-centric, female-empowered, perspective.
Yep.
Even
I think
Well,
we'll connect with her sometime in early 2024.
At least Akshay Kumar did make an attempt with his Padman.
Thank
I
you.
was going to
Thank you.
say
I was
that.
gonna know that movie.
Funny,
Thank you so
I was
much.
gonna bring that.
Not that
movie
even
in.
either. Even the
Yes.
advertisement in front of every movie,
Yes.
before every movie
Yes.
starts.
Yes.
Fufu kar rahe ho?
I love that.
Yeah, no, that was
He is promoting.
very good. That was
Yes,
very
that
good.
was-
We'll leave it
It
to
was a movie,
him.
and it was good progressive
Yes.
take
yes.
from Bollywood. It was
And
good.
even
And it was
Toilet.
nice that it all started in a village, right? I mean,
Yes.
Yes.
he was in a pind where the girls and the women didn't know anything, and then from there it went.
Both the
forward.
Padman movie and the Toilet movie.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
toilet
About
too.
his wife.
Remember
Yes.
the toilet?
It's about
Yes.
female sanitation, and hygiene.
Yes.
So kudos to Akshay Kumar. I hope what's the third movie he could come out with like that?
Well,
Yeah, he's good at
Twinkle
that.
Khanna
He's
is
good at
behind
that.
him. Let's
as
give
we
women
are,
the credit.
winding down to the close of the top of the hour, I just wanted to kick off some final parting words. Period. It's not shameful. It does not need to be hidden. Boys and girls and husbands alike need to be coached. Men, boys will, they will be, men will be men, boys will be boys. They will never understand the female body. But, letting them know, sitting them down and letting them know that, should they encounter this, how should they tackle this situation? I think as empowered women, and if we are able to educate our own family and in turn that they are able to handle this in the community, I think our job is done. And just not be shy about it. Hey, the brighter side, even an emoji has period in it. So pick up your iPhone, look at an emoji. They have a poop emoji. Why not a period emoji?
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, love that. Okay.
The irony of everything is my daughter's period started at a mandir. We were in Africa. We were visiting my parents, and then we came
Awesome.
home, and she was 10.5, and I was like, "What the hell? Did this just happen?" So that's the irony of it all, because it's interesting. God made it this way, and it happened
And
when it
actually,
had to happen.
the way Gunjan has described it about the endometrium, if somebody were to actually scientifically explain to people what is happening, people would understand it a lot better.
Absolutely.
I don't think that it's
Education.
explained that well.
I think education
Totally.
is truly the answer.
Education, science education is so important, and we don't need to wait
Yes.
till they're adults to do it. They need to start young, and kids
With
need
the
to
kids,
learn. You never
absolutely.
know what age women
And
are
I think we should come up with another movie like that Pankaj Tiwari guy on masturbation. So there should be a movie about menstruation.
menstruation. Absolutely.
Nice.
Agreed.
I think that's exactly right. He went all the way to Kama Sutra, and he went to 1800s, how it was
Right.
call me. I mean, I don't want to reveal the story here, but
That was an excellent
I'm
movie.
gonna check some of these
I
movies
like
out.
that. But
Now
it's the
you know.
women that are going to empower the women and the girls, right?
Right.
If they're the ones who are, we're always like this at each other, women, right?
Yeah.
We're always our worst enemies. Like,
Yeah.
so now we need to do this. Now this should be like our thing, embrace
Yeah.
embrace the blood and the panties, ladies. and the males too. I mean, because I had leakage problems my whole life. Like that's what I suffered with. It started at 12 in middle school, traumatized me then, and it never stopped. And I was like, how come in my adult years I still can't figure out how to stop the leakage? I've tried every pad on planet Earth. I've tried every black, clothing, dark clothing.
Woman, you
It
need to
just-
ask me the best products that you can use, and I will help you with it.
Oh, cool.
Okay, there you go. Another show
There
on
you
menstrual
go.
products.
You have a
Yeah, we'll
resource.
There
talk
you
about it
go.
during hygiene and care. Anjina, any
Oh,
parting words?
absolutely. Yeah.
I didn't know that there was a menstrual hygiene day. It's May 20, I guess May 25th or well, no, 28th, May 28th. And I guess it's a global thing, and it's an awareness about poor menstrual health and hygiene. So that's another subcategory within this. And I think definitely, as Aarti said, it's really important to educate females, the newer generation, the generation we're in, the older generation, really to educate them, because that's where all the information is going to go out to, the other genders and everywhere else. So I think we've got to start at home in that way.
Yep, exactly right. Gunjan, parting words.
So, yeah, I will leave everyone with the fact that we have examples of both. Like there was chapati huts in that Indian sub-region, and where they're bringing out these women are going through a lot of suffering. Same place there is in the same Kailash Hills, there is villages which have huts called Baishali, where the women are given 10 days of spa treatment. Men bring the food to them, and these are same Indian culture. Africa, where in Kenya, where women aren't even allowed to wash genitals, like Renu informed us. And there are so many other areas in Africa where women are really treated the worst for it. However, there is an area in Ethiopia where they're called these Alima huts, where women take both the sons and the daughters to teach them what period is about. So the sons also learn along with the daughters. So I felt that was the biggest example.
Yes.
Like that's where I grew up as, in inclusive society where sons are also finding it together. So I think going forward, that should be our goal, not just empowering women, empowering our men, because ultimately we're living in a society with both of us. We need to stop just going 50% one gender. We need to bring both of us together and just educate both.
100%.
Yeah, and it's not something to joke about. A lot of time guys would be like, oh, you're in such a bad mood. Are you on your period? I mean, it's not funny. If you had
not
your
funny.
period, you would be
It's
crying.
painful.
Okay? I said, do you know how much blood we lose, and we are still standing, we're still doing everything?
Yeah.
They
I said,
couldn't
wait
do
till
it.
you have your period next time around. Just wait.
And I think this also segues into another topic that we should talk about is equality. And everybody talks about, hey, if you're fighting for equality, and if you're going to just be, down on the low down, because if you have your period, then what is equality? I mean, there is equality. Men will not be superior to women. Women will not be superior to men. There are certain things men and women are specialists in their own ways. So I think respect each other, love each other, care for each other.
Yeah.
That's what I would say on that note, and not, laugh it off as, you're PMSing.
That's a great point.
That's another one.
On the
On the rag.
On the rag.
Yeah.
But like I had family members who really got sick every month, and it just not only caused mood swings, but it like almost led to like bipolar disorder. And if there's any mental illness in the family, any premenstrual symptoms get worse, and it makes the mood swings worse. So there's a mental health and mental illness component underneath. And I would just like to add along with what Anjana said, like we need to talk about equality. One thing which I really hope can come out as an adjunct to this topic is, sex trafficking of girls, child sex trafficking. And it happens at the age of puberty, when these girls, most of them children trafficked are females. just think about the enormous global public health crisis this causes, with young girls being kidnapped or put into, forced into child sex trafficking. We've not addressed this. We addressed COVID as a pandemic. What about all these, sex customers and how they're spreading disease when our little girls who are sex trafficked are on their periods? There's no conversation about that. And that's so much in our culture in India, right? Red light districts and how girls are killed just because, anyway, I really hope this can be another topic that comes out of it, is the child sex trafficking. And living in California, those of us in California is the hub of child sex trafficking in America. So we need to talk about it here at home.
Vibha, any parting words?
I mean, I'm just gonna say what I said in the beginning. Period, nothing to be ashamed of. Say it loud, say it clear. Every woman, every girl goes through it. Men need to understand that despite having our period, we still go about doing whatever we need to do. It's not something to laugh about. It's not something to joke about. Our threshold for pain and our ability to multitask will always be superior to men. That's what I tell my husband also. I'm like, I'm on my period. You want to have a nice evening? Just leave me alone, okay? I need to do my own thing. So yeah, men need to understand, boys need to understand and talk about it. I mean, talk about it in front of your sons, your brothers, your dads, your uncles. Nothing to be ashamed of. Every grown man knows what a period is, and boys know too. So yeah, I'll just say, be bold, be clear, be concise. Nothing to be ashamed of. Yeah.
Miss Renu Dhillon, our chairperson of Building Women Empowered. The mics. Over to you.
Guys, Anjina, have you said your parting words?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes, she did.
So I'll leave you with some humor. How about that? I'll leave you with some humor.
Oh, love it.
We had Gil, my husband, and of course my daughter were all in the house. This is when they were teenagers. And we ran out of sanitary towels at home. And they told me, Mom, you go get them. And I'm like, no, I'm too lazy to drive down the hill. So I told Gil, you go get them. And he had no clue. He goes, what am I getting? I said, just go down and look for sanitary towels. The word sanitary towels. Go to the women's section or ask for help. But of course, he was too embarrassed to ask for help. Too embarrassed. So he did the typical man thing. They just stare and they don't read. They just pick up what they think they're bringing. And I actually showed him one at home and said, you're bringing this back. I will never forget. It was about 10 o'clock at night and we were desperate for these sanitary towels. And he came back with women incontinence underwear. And you won't believe it. We have kept it in the house till today. We have it in the garage. Because I said to him that time, I said, I didn't need it then. I said, but maybe now I'll need it. But why waste it? But he couldn't, and he kept saying, but I didn't know what a sanitary towel looks like. And you just have to read the words. He goes, but do you know when you walk down the aisle how many products women have? He said, I've never seen so many things.
True.
So we took him back and educated him on what it was. But going back to what Vibha and everybody else has said, education, don't be embarrassed. It's okay for our dads to go,
Oh yeah, I said my husband, I'm like, go get this.
And don't wrap that in the newspaper.
Yes.
Please don't do that.
The black plastic.
Oh, the black bag. Yes, yes.
But it's okay. Yes. I don't know why women are embarrassed to send their husbands to get tampons and sanitary. What's the big deal? Come on,
Yeah.
So be open and be proud of the fact that you carry life and you produce life and you nurture life. You should be so grateful that you're born a woman in this lifetime. So be grateful for that. Yeah. Menstruation is not a taboo.
Yeah, that's the conclusion.
Even if it's a taboo, we'll make it not a taboo.
There you go. We'll untaboo it.
Yes. Blood in underwear, blood on pads.
Okay, if anybody needs products, oh, by the way, a great tip is on Amazon, put it on subscription. So even if you forget to refill, Amazon will send it to you.
Amazon will send it to you.
I like that.
Special mention here. Really want to thank Anjana for hosting the show. She's done an amazing job. All you ladies were wonderful. It's just, and I really enjoy these topics every month because we're addressing things that people just don't want to even talk about. Even if you post this on Facebook, you'd be lucky if you got one like or anyone want to make a comment because they're just so embarrassed. So let's educate and let's get out there. Anjana, thank you so much.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you,
Anjana.
Thank you, Anjana. Thanks, Renu. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. See you next time.
Good night. Until next time.
Bye.
Until the next taboo topic.
Right.
Bye.